Today, I want to conduct a little poker experiment. My hypothesis? No one knows poker GTO. Certainly not me, probably not you, and definitely not the guy who's crushing your local 510 game. What is GTO? It stands for Game Theory Optimal, and in basic terms, it means playing a strategy that is unexploitable. For example, if you were playing a GTO strategy in rock, paper, scissors, you would choose one of rock, paper, or scissors at random exactly 33.3% of the time each. Your strategy is unexploitable, and in the long run, you can't lose. That's great, but what if you had some extra information that your opponent was choosing rock? Just slightly too much. So today, we're going to have a professional poker player play against a computer solver that's going to build the perfect strategy against him in two different scenarios to see just how hard it is for a human to play GTO. All right, for this little experiment, we've enlisted Tom Stocker. Tom is a coach at Hungry Horse Poker and a full-time live player who's achieved a win rate of over 16 big blinds per hour over the last 2 years playing poker full-time. Tom, how well do you think you know GTO at Equilibrium?
Not very well, Mark. Not very well at all.
Well, let's see. Let's jump in.
Let's find out.
Tom, in this hand, the solver is your opponent. It's going to have the perfect counter move for every move you make, so try to do your best. All right?
Got it.
So, Tom is on the button.
I like the button.
And you're playing 5-10 and you're 200 big blinds effective. Just for this example, you have pocket jacks, but we're gonna play your whole range here. So you open the button to 30 American big ones, and the small blind, who is the solver, raises to 120. Big blind folds, and it is back to you here on the button. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go through your range here and pick what hands you're continuing with as a call here. So we're gonna cut out the hands that you're 4-betting, we're gonna cut out the hands that you're folding, and just the hands that you're calling.
Understood. Okay. Wow. Blank slate.
All right, so here is Tom's continue range, and you notice that these hands up here are 0. So if you're wondering why these hands aren't in, it's because they're getting 4-bet. If you're wondering why all these hands aren't in, it's because they're getting folded. This is just Tom's continue as a call range. Back to the hand here, and again, you have pocket jacks, but we're playing your whole range.
Yep.
And you call, the board comes Jack 9 deuce, and now your opponent, the solver, bets 1/3 pot here on the flop, and let's walk through what you're going to do when he bets 1/3. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Against a solver, I probably wouldn't have too many raises in position on this board, just based on the fact it's going to play a 3-bet range quite well. So I'm probably going to mainly proceed with calling or folding for the large majority of my range. Let's think about what I would fold, actually.
Here is your strategy, Tom, against his C-bet here on this board. And before we continue, let's just make sure you're happy with this strategy. You're doing a bunch of calling, not much folding, and no raising. You're just kind of simplifying here in position.
Yeah, seems good.
Now, let's go back to this flop, and let us pretend on this flop now on the Jack 9 deuce that he checks. And now it is to you in position, so you're gonna play your whole range when he checks to you.
Wow.
Ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're gonna lock it. This is Tom's strategy when it is checked to him. He is betting big 18% of the time, betting small 38% of the time, and checking back about 44% of the time. And if you're happy with this, we are going to solve.
We could solve.
So once again, here is Tom's strategy when the solver bets. No raises, lots of calls. And here is Tom's strategy when the solver checks. Some big bets, some small bets, some checks. All right, good?
We're good.
All right, while this is running, I wanted to let's pull up the sim because I have this one solved. Here is the solver's strategy in Equilibrium. It is going to be betting about 67% of the time on the flop and checking about 33% of the time. Let us solve. It is range checking.
Yeah.
It is range checking.
I'm playing so bad when I bet that.
So it checks its entire range on the flop because that's the node where Tom makes the biggest mistakes.
I imagine it does this because I've made bigger mistakes versus check than against the bet.
What are the takeaways from this? Well, Tom is a top winning pro. At least in the games I play, most of the players are not as good as Tom. And if Tom is making this many mistakes pre-flop and on the flop, imagine how many mistakes the players in your games are making. When you are the small blind in this scenario as the pre-flop 3-better, instead of trying to approximate a GTO strategy at equilibrium, consider choosing a more simple strategy, such as a range bet or a range check, to exploit the specific player you are playing against. Against a more passive player, you may want to range bet. Against a more aggressive player, you may want to range check. Think about it like rock, paper, scissors. If we know our opponent is throwing rock just a little bit too much, we should be throwing paper 100% of the time. If we know our opponent is throwing scissors just a little bit too much, we should be throwing rock 100% of the time. These deviations will massively increase your EV versus trying to play a GTO strategy at equilibrium. Let us move on to experiment number 2. In GTO strategy at equilibrium, we don't have any small bets when in position on the river. The reason being, we don't want to open the action up to being check raised when we bet too thinly, so the solver either bets a nice chunky size or checks back. So let's have Tom play against the solver once again, this time on the river, to see if the solver starts to find some of those small bets to exploit Tom. All right, guys, real quick, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot. And if you subscribe, if you see Tom in person playing in the casino, pull out your phone, show him you're subscribed to Hungry Horse Poker. He will kiss you on the mouth one time.
Just
one kiss.
Just one time.
Just one kiss. All right. So in this hand, Tom will be playing cutoff versus button. In this example, we have 5-6 of clubs, but again, you're gonna play your whole range just on the river here instead of on the flop. In this hand, to make it easier on you, we're only 110 big blinds effective. And also, we're gonna have the solver play for you, pre-flop, on the flop, and on the turn. All you gotta do is play the river.
Very nice of you.
Yeah, so you're gonna play perfectly.
Only mess up one street.
Yeah. So Tom, what is your prediction? We know in theory, the solver's not going to have, it's gonna have 0% small bets on the river in theory.
Yeah.
How often do you think it's gonna bet small against you?
Oh, a lot, because I'm not gonna play well versus the small bet.
We'll try to do well.
Okay, I'll try my best.
All right, so here we go. So you open the cutoff to $30. The button, the solver, 3 bets to 100, folds back around to you, you call.
Okay.
All right, flop is Jack 6 deuce rainbow. Check, he bets 1/3 pot, you call. Turn is a 3, bringing you a gut shot to go along with middle pair. You check, he bets 2/3 pot, and you call.
Yep.
And now we are on the river, which is an innocuous 9 of hearts. And you check over to him, and we're gonna play against a jam, and we are going to play against a small size.
Okay.
Which one would you like to do first?
Let's do jam first.
Let's do jam. Let us lock this, and this is going to be your strategy against the big bet when they jam the river.
Okay.
Now your opponent bets 1/3 pot here on the river, and now you have the option to either jam for 761, call, or fold. This is your strategy.
If that's what you want to call it. Are we calling it that?
We're calling it that. This
This
is your strategy versus the small river bet. Here is your strategy against big. Calling 54, folding 46. All right, so let us go and let's see what happens. Ready?
I'm ready, Mark.
We are solved here. So
solved.
Here is the solver's new strategy. It's now using the small bet and the big bet, splitting between these two bets. See what hands are betting small and what hands are betting big. It looks like it's putting a lot of its good hands in the small size. So you see that pocket jacks just go small pure. Pocket sixes just go small pure.
Yeah.
The big size is just mainly using the over pairs here, I guess, to target the jack X.
Got it.
Pretty simple strategy, right? You did pretty good. Look, this is the strategy in equilibrium. 51 call, 48 fold, and your strategy against the big bet is 53 call, 46 fold. So pretty good. You did okay against the big size, and let's compare the small size here. So here is your strategy against the small size. This is the solver strategy against small size. So 30% raise, 50% call, 18%.
Yeah, what was mine? Raising a lot more. What was
and yours was raising a lot more.
I think if anything, what I showcase is you can still do really well in no theory.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Know? Thank you, Mark. That was fun.
Takeaways: you probably want to be finding small bets in position on the river against players in your games. If players are passive, you probably want to be putting a lot of your thin value in the small size to exploit the fact they overcall and under check raise. If players are more aggressive, you probably want to put a lot of your more nutted hands in the small size and call off whenever they check raise. Either way, I'd be leaning hard into exploits and never trying to approximate GTO at equilibrium, because I can't. I don't know how. I hope this video was eye-opening and showed just how much we don't know theory. And even more importantly, I hope this video illuminated some of the simple exploits you could be making in your games to achieve those top-tier win rates. Thank you guys, and have a gentle day.